Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. Well, I trust you've been enjoying this series on the Electric Light Orchestra and the journey to date. It has been a very busy period for this band up till now. They formed in 1970. They had an album in 71, two albums in 73, an album in 74, an album in 75, an album in 76, an album in 77. And incidentally, those two albums, in 76 we had a New World Record, in 77 we had Out of the Blue, were absolutely massively huge, humongous albums for the Electric Light Orchestra. And as I hinted at last time, when I looked at Mr. Blue Sky from the Out of the Blue album, this led them to embark on a 92-date world tour in 1978. And so, understandably, there was no album in 1978. And we had the big massive spaceship and the laser show and everything else that was ELO. And I think in America they talked about it being the big night out, and there was a 7-date sellout Wembley Arena stint. They sold out every night for 7 consecutive nights, which up to that point was a world record, I'm thinking, for Wembley Stadium. Around the same time, there was this, now here's this word I always struggle to say, phenomenon. I think I got it that time. Sweeping the world, and it was called disco. Disco was huge around the world, and probably nothing typified this movement more than the 1977 release Staying Alive, the soundtrack that came from that movie. The movie was okay. John Travolta did a fantastic job in the lead role there, and of course some of his dance moves are iconic. But the album, which was penned mainly by the Bee Gees, went on to sell 45 million copies. 45 million copies. That sort of success cannot be ignored. And so Jeff Lynne in 1979 thought, well, this disco thing is a bit of a thing. What can I do to be influenced by this movement? And so in 1979, I suppose, once the tour had gone down and settled, he embarked on writing a brand new album. And this album was called Discovery. And I think Richard Tandy, the keyboard player, actually even thought it was Disco Very, was another way they came up with the name. It's got the cover of the Arabian Night, probably Aladdin, stealing into the house and stealing the ELO spaceship, which was still there. So it was an intriguing cover. And this particular album had some wonderful tracks on it, and I think I can remember all of them from beginning to end. It started off with Shine a Little Love, and I think we then went into Confusion, and then Need Her Love, and I think Diary of Horace Wimp, and then side 2 we had Last Train to London, and then we had Wishing, On the Run, Midnight Blue, and finishing off with Don't Bring Me Down. Now, interestingly, for myself growing up, the song Don't Bring Me Down was the first Electric Light Orchestra song I ever heard. And Discovery was the first album I ever owned. And I didn't appreciate at that time where ELO had come from, and it wasn't for a little bit further back that I discovered the Out of the Blue album, and even a while after that, the Out of the New World Record album and the songs before that. I'd heard the songs, but I hadn't really thought much about the albums, and It's quite amazing to get those albums going back and to see where ELO had come from. So Jeff released Electric Light Orchestra and Jeff. You can't really separate these two people. Jeff Lynne is Electric Light Orchestra. They released the album in 1979. And again, it was a massive seller in the UK, in the United States, Canada, Australia, pretty well everywhere. It was a massive seller. And so the ELO success just kept rolling on. And there's some songs I think I particularly want to focus on today. Again, we've got to go for more than one song, but I suppose I'll share some comments about a particular song in this story, on this album. The first song, and I'm dropping all the links below, is Don't Bring Me Down. The second song is Confusion. There's just something about this song that I've always loved, and so I've put that one there as well. And the third song I want to focus on is this quirky little number called The Diary of Horace Wimp. It follows the story of a week of a guy who was lonely, didn't have a girl, lost his job, and eventually met a girl and married her, all in the space of a week. It's quite an amazing song. And I think about this guy Horace Wimp. No, Wimp being, I think, the critical part of the name there. He was a guy that life wasn't really working for him. He was a guy who was on his own. He was a guy where he was always late for work, and he just didn't have any will about him. And now that's a really awkward place to be in, because that can be quite a comfortable place. Now, we stay where we are because it's easier and simpler to be there than to actually think there could be more to life. We almost like write ourselves off almost as being not worth anything more. And it's hard to break out of. It doesn't matter how many times you may hear you're a person of worth, you're a person of value. But it's not until you actually believe that for yourself that changes will be made. We may sort of get excited for a time and think about we're going to make some change. Think about New Year's resolutions in particular, and how many of them are actually not kept. And we think, well, we're going to make a change. But then the familiarity of being just, I suppose, mediocre sets back in, and we don't make that change. I don't know what's so compelling about mediocre, about where we are right now. What's so compelling about that? Is it we're just tired, or there's no will to look at what could be more? It could be that, we're scared of what that could look like. It could involve change, and sometimes we don't like change, even though it may be better for us. But as I shared a couple of times ago, I think it was with Living Theme when I talked about how we've got blood pumping through our veins, that there is only one of you. And if you are not doing all that you can do with what you know right now, you're holding out on the world, and the world is missing out on the value that you bring to it. So you are valuable, you have worth, and you're an incredible human being. You really, really are. But I can say that as much as I can, because if you're sitting here right in this room right now and we're having a coffee, I would be saying this to you. We are valuable. We are worthwhile. We are cool. We are amazing. And we could all stay like Horus at the beginning of his week, where he is late for work and there's no girl. Or we can be the Horus that asks the girl out on a date, asks the girl to marry him, and to be challenged to now get a life, to be a man or a woman. Where are you in the Horus story? Are you at the beginning? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Or are you at the end where you're nailing life? Life is just going really, really well. Even if it's going really, really well, there is a next step even for you. And I encourage you to look for that. So there's an encouragement for you about Horus and his story. I don't know what led Jeff to write this song. I think if he hadn't taken the risk back in 1970, he would still be the frustrated musician. But now he's got millions and millions of album sales under his belt. So he took the risk and it paid off. I mean, J.K. Rowling took the risk. Even though she got rejected by a lot of publishers, she eventually found a publisher that would write the Harry Potter story for her. Steve Jobs, I'm sure, also, when he started Apple, would have thought, oh, whatever, but he took the risk, and now Apple is one of the biggest companies in the world. Microsoft, the same story. Or if you think about Man on the Moon, who would have thought we could send anything to another rock in space and for that to be successful? Human beings do want to progress. I suppose the challenge for all of us is to see how that can awaken within us if we're feeling like it's not. I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm talking to you right now. I mean, I used to write these posts. I thought I wasn't good enough to be on screen. But I suppose I've challenged myself. It may not be perfect or pristine, but I hope more than anything that these videos are connecting. Even if it's with just one person and it makes a difference in their life, that's more than I can ask for. So let's think about Horus and where we are in his part of the story. So onto the clips today. As I said, again, another iconic album, so we've got to have more than one song. We've got Don't Bring Me Down. As I said, it's the first ELO song I ever heard, and there's just something so cool. There's that word Bruce in there. If you look at the lyrics, it's actually Bruce with a gr at the start, but I think Bruce, anyone tends to think it's Bruce, so whoever Bruce was, we don't know. That's a like, you know, get out of my way, I'm coming through sort of song, which I suppose sometimes in life we need to do that. Probably not all the time, but sometimes we just want to say, don't bring me down. I'm a person of worth. That's the first song. Second song's Confusion. That's the live, not the live clip, that's the official video clip of ELO, the iconic lineup doing that song. There's just something beautiful about how that song's been done. Then we've got The Diary of Horace Wimp. Now, I've gone for a mini movie that someone's put to the song. It really just tells the story really, really, really well. And I really resonated with the guy in this clip, and so I've put a clip to that particular mini movie as well. Another song that I really like is Shine a Little Love. Have a bit of a look on YouTube for that one yourself. Jeff put a lot of effort into the production of that song, and as the opening track, it doesn't disappoint. So check out YouTube for yourself for that one, Shine a Little Love. And I've also included the link to my last ELO commentary from the Out of the Blue album, Mr. Blue Sky. So feel free to look at that one as well. And I trust this video has been an encouragement to you. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, and also I'd love you to subscribe. So click on the subscribe button, click on the little bell, and select all for videos which get posted a couple of times a week. And I suppose if you have got to the end, thank you for staying with me. That's fantastic. And if you'd like me to look at a song, by all means, send it through and I'll definitely give it a go. Because this series is called Life Reflections Through Music. I'm also looking to establish another part of this channel, Life Reflection Requests. So by all means, send through a song and an artist and I'll give it a go. So, and until next time, when we move on to the next part of the Electric Light Orchestra story, bye for now.